Hi, I'm Nicole from Relocate Guru. Welcome and thank you for watching. If you've been following along, you know that I'm on the RGU Accelerator program. So I'm here today and I'm joined with Ed, who is the startup coordinator for the Accelerator program. And I thought it would be great to have a discussion because Ed has moved from Dubai to the UK. So I wanted him to share a story. So when he heard about Relocate Guru, he just identified with it straight away. And so I just want to sort of like have a wee chat and sort of like share some tips if you are sort of like about to do a big transition like that, and like what you wish you knew, because you had a bit of a crazy time from what what you told me. Yeah. So Ed, sort of like just introduce yourself and.
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Nicole, for inviting me along. So yeah, my role is startup coordinator. I work at RGU, and originally when I was a teenager, we moved out to Dubai in the Middle East. So typical, my parents worked in oil and gas. So when we first moved out there, it was quite simple. They did all of the moving for us, so that was nice. My dad's company. So that's kind of tip number one, is that depending on what contract you've got and how you've arranged your move, is can you get your company to facilitate all of that kind of admin side of things. So moving out to Dubai was quite good, and then my social interaction was good because I had school and I was able to integrate there. But it was later on, so I did my school career out there, I got involved, and then I was looking for a university. So I was looking at different places all around the world, and I ended up coming back to Scotland where I'm from and chose to come here to Aberdeen. And it was that move that was definitely quite challenging, because it was a lot more on me to deal with a lot of the admin side to get my stuff over there. So I guess a couple of the key things that I learnt from that, it took me things like the way that we did the shipping. It took me, I think, for the first set of boxes, months to get them back, and then the next set of boxes, years to get them back.
My goodness.
Genuinely 3 odd years to get the boxes. And
like when I sort of like see sort of like posts from like people relocating, like the first question that everyone, and the biggest pain point seems to be the shipping. And sort of like asking for recommendations for shipping. So like finding a really reputable shipping company seems to be like a big headache, and things can go missing. Like I had a friend who moved to Ghana, like have her shipment sort of like lost for ages, and it was a complete nightmare. So, but not 3 years. Like that is a new level. And
I think the thing, so my tip number one, I guess, from me in this webinar type activity is to understand what the regulations are from wherever you're shipping to and from. I think we just kind of went with it, and to be fair, we could have found, we didn't do our research, we didn't really go with anything, we just kind of went, and I think we kind of bundled it in with some work stuff as well, but I think we didn't understand the regulations. So for example, we packed and we just put it all in boxes and didn't realise that they had such strict checks on all sorts of types of things. So we needed a really detailed inventory with things like batteries, and they just needed to confirm all these different things. So once we'd handed that over to the shipping company and said, look, here's our boxes, get these back to the UK, they then were like, oh wait, we've not done this bit of paperwork, we've not got the certificate for this bit of electrical equipment, like an old camera from years ago that we're not even really using very much, but it still we need it for all the old videotapes. But no, we don't have the manual for it, we don't know what battery classification it is, all this kind of stuff. And then they had to open up all our boxes and look through it all, and we were away, so we'd already moved, so we'd had to move back from that, so that was a bit of a challenge.
So you had to come back and for them to check everything, or
no,
so they just opened the boxes, and
opened the boxes.
Things could get lost or broken.
Yeah, and I still don't even really know. And on to the second bit, so the other challenge, which was slightly, probably not so much the case for everyone, it was the admin bit of things. It was cleaning out all the old admin so in Dubai, like shutting down all of the accounts and kind of transferring things and closing banks and kind of moving things over. Took a lot longer, and actually we had we had an apartment and we had furniture and we had all this kind of stuff, and I had to come back to the UK because I had I'd moved back for a bit. I'd started doing uni and I had exams, and then all this stuff was still going on back in Dubai. We needed to close it all out, so I had to fly back after I'd already moved to try and deal with furniture and get rid of stuff, and then things like, it was just the laws were quite complicated, so it was great. I loved living there and I loved being abroad, but I think doing more research on what the regulations are and the laws around it. So in the Middle East in particular, it was around male heirs could deal with things. Being my dad's son, I could go out and do it, but I wasn't 21, I was 20, and it was 22 when I had to go back to try and solve some of these things. So it became a bit of a hassle.
So knowing that information, it's like, because I suppose when you're like 21 or 20, like you wouldn't think to ask these things. So it's having kind of that list of like, okay, by the way, you need to know about the paperwork.
The checklist of all the things you need to know, all the places you need to deal with, all the transfers you need to get organised. Something I know Relocate Guru has, considering I'm currently moving this weekend.
Like you've downloaded my checklist, didn't
I have,
you?
yes.
So did you find it useful?
I did find it useful, yes. I'm going through it at the moment. So this is a UK to UK move, so it's not quite as complicated, but still having just understanding, right, okay, my passport, driving license is going to need changed address, my utilities bill, my council tax, all these kind of things, and just remembering all the things that are kind of tied to that.
There's so much, like the list of things that you have to remember, just like on a on a simple move. It's crazy. But the list of like, do you think there's things that I need to add to the list for like the added complexity for Dubai, an international move? Because every country varies so much. It's going to be difficult to cover all the bases, but with the checklist, which I'll put the link in the video below in the comments for you, it covers most of the bases, and then there'll be sort of like some slight differences depending on which country you go to, but on the Relocate Guru app, what I want people to start doing is like putting all those tips and links and into as tips on the app, so if you have that information, share it to help out the next person so they don't have to suffer through.
I wish I could have done that. It would have been so much easier. So I guess that's tip number 2, is have a clear plan of what needs moved and when, and understand the timescales for that. And I guess my tip number 3 is potentially around kind of it's not really a tip, it's around the social side of things as well. So I think when I moved back from Dubai, when I moved to Dubai, it was a bit of a challenge because I was very young at the time, so I was panicked. I was like, I'm not going to make friends, this is going to be a nightmare. But I was very lucky because I just went into high school, so when you're that age, you're kind of forced into it. So, and
also with Dubai, because everyone's kind of transitioning a lot, like it isn't abnormal. So it's not like, oh, you're the new kid, because like 50% of your class will be the new kid. So it's everyone's kind of more in the same boat.
It was much easier that way,
whereas if you moved to somewhere, like when I moved up to Scotland, sort of like it was very rural, like people had known each other since kindergarten, and so you do stick out like a sort of thumb, and it's very hard to integrate in sort of like more country rural areas, like especially if you go into a local school versus if you go to an international school. That was my experience. But so how do you find like moving back to the UK, because you are it's like coming home, but you don't feel.
And it was so strange, so it's exactly like that, because I was like, right, I'm coming home, blah, blah, blah. I chose the UK because, I wanted a good university and I wanted the course that I chose, but it was stressful because my family lives in Glasgow, but I was moving up to Aberdeen, so we did have a family house here before, but I didn't really know any like school friends or anything like that. So I remember first coming back, and it was my 18th birthday, and I was in my flat, and I was just kind of like sat there going, right, what do I do? And then I was like, I wanted to go down to Glasgow to see my family, but my aunties were like, no, don't go. So it turned out my dad had flew over to surprise me, so that was quite nice. So nice. But I think that was a challenge, is finding people straight away. And then I moved into university, and again that was a good opportunity. And I think for me it was getting involved in clubs and societies and the student union that helped. But I think if you don't have that as a university, whether it's a workplace or other places, is understanding all the different social groups you can join and clubs, and building a network around you, which again I think is something that
it's definitely use the app to sort of like put in, like if you find like a really good group, an activity, a class or anything like that, stick it in the app as a tip, so more people can find that when they move to that city, and sort of like find friends and find that connection sooner, rather than spending months trying to find these things and figuring it out. It's like, let's have Relocate Guru as that one-stop shop, so that we can find that information a lot quicker, and like even before we arrive, that we can suss out like those groups that we can be a part of and sort of connect with people. So what was your favorite like group of society that
Ooh, I think I got involved in the Students' Union, so particularly for a university setting, that was the best way to do it. So I made friends on my course, which were great, but I made my best friends, actually two ways. My best friends through the Student Union, so getting involved in, it wasn't necessarily one particular club or society, but helping all of them and running events for them, and because I got to integrate with loads of people. But the other way was my part-time job and work as well, and I think although people who go into full-time work, it's slightly more challenging because you're kind of full-time colleagues, so sometimes you have a much closer work relationship. It's harder to always build that friend relationship. Part-time jobs I thought were really a great way because you have it's a bit more of an informal relationship, I guess. You have a work relationship, but then you also have...
Yeah, do you find that you go out after work and sort of like hang out?
Yeah, whereas when you're full-time 9 to 5, but you still can make excellent friends that way. But for me, it was my my part-time job while I was at university that I've made friends that I still meet with now, every day. So I think that was a great way of integrating, and it just kind of builds from there. And I think staying in touch with the people who were at my old school, and I think what made my move much easier was it was just at the end of my high school time. So all of my friends being in Dubai, not a single one of them stayed in Dubai really. Everyone moved everywhere, so I wasn't alone. Scatter. Yes, so and what was great, so what got me through the first phases was I got my part-time job. I saved up money that was specifically for obviously my living costs, but I tried to save as much as I could to travel, and then I visited friends in Australia, in New York, in Madrid, in Austria, all my friends from Dubai who'd scattered, not all at once.
That's good. Like sometimes sort of like having a global life can be like has its challenges for sure, but it gives you this opportunity to have friends to stay with like all over the world, and it's like I try to definitely when I have the opportunity to travel, I want to stay with my friends and sort of like, and you then also experience that place in a completely different way than if you were traveling for a holiday, because you're staying with a friend. You get to see their favorite places. You get to experience like a local. You go to like
the shops and the cooking.
It was like going to Dubai and staying with Miriam. Sort of like she took me to the souks and sort of like was haggling to get me like some cheap pashminas, which is amazing, and things like that I would not have been able to do if I was on my own or like just on there on holiday. So it is although you've got the challenges and the headaches of like not seeing your possessions for 3 years and like navigating trying to fit into a new place that's kind of is home but not quite, it gives you this huge opportunity to like experience the world and place it in a way that people won't be able to do otherwise. Definitely. So any final wrap up sort of like tips? Or
I'm not sure. I think going through the move at the moment, my head is very much in the admin space. It's all about like getting all the details done and getting delivery scheduled. Oh my god, it's a nightmare. But I think just being structured, being organised, understanding. I overpack boxes, which is a really practical one, but I'm noticing that my boxes are exceptionally heavy, and I'm now having to go back tonight and repack them all because I realised that it's me and my nephew, but then my sister and my cousin, and I just don't think we'll all be able to lift them. So unless unless you got some really big burly men, we're doing the move ourselves. So again, that's the challenge. Is the balance is, do you do it yourself or not? I'm trying to milk all my connections, so my nephew has a van, so I'm like,
make sure you buy drinks for everybody, like love pizza and drinks for
even
everybody.
Finding boxes, I wasn't very good at that. I just bought them on Amazon, which to be fair I probably shouldn't have done because there's better options.
There are easier ways to get boxes. I think I've got still a stack of them in the garage from like previous moves, but we kind of have done a mixture of moving ourselves and moving with a company. So I think it was boxes from a previous move that kind of just get stored in the garage and they come out. So we did like something like, what was it, 3 moves in 2 years or something. Wow, okay. So they got reused.
Worth it.
It was worth keeping. But I think we've now finally donated them to many other people who have been moving away, so I think we're down to our last final few now, but like finding boxes, but sort of like, and yeah, the checklist will go through everything that you kind of need to do. But I think that's really important, sort of like research your shipping company, decide whether you're doing it yourself or with the company, and if your employer is going to help you, sort of like definitely get insurance. So if somebody's like having to rake through and sort of like rummage through your stuff, because you haven't filled in the right paperwork, if something gets broken or lost, you need that insurance. Also, then it's like getting the admin sorted. So make sure you know that to get all the admin sorted before you leave your current destination, so that you don't have as much headaches. And then 3, sort of like get social, like get in, connect with like the societies and groups, and sort of like find those groups to find friends as soon as possible. So I think those are 3 great tips.
Thank you very much.
So I hope that was useful for you, and if you're in the process of moving, good luck, and I'm here for you. So like, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below, or if you have any other tips that you need to add, pop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them and add them to the list. So have a fantastic day, everyone, and yeah, feel like a local anywhere. Take care. Bye. Download the app today and join our community to feel at home anywhere.